In this video, I'm going to give you 3 science-backed tips you can use to unlock stronger focus right now. And since I want this video to be easy for you to focus on, let's get started with tip number 1, which is creating a pregame ritual. You've probably seen a video of the basketball legend LeBron James throwing chalk up in the air before each game. This isn't just him expressing his artistic side, it's what's called a pregame ritual. And many top athletes have rituals of their own that they believe help them perform better. Now, of course, this is somewhat based on superstition, but there's also a legitimate side to it as well. And that's because the brain is highly associative. For example, it will associate certain actions with certain states of mind. So in LeBron's case, him throwing the chalk up in the air is a cue to his brain to get into game time mode, and it can actually help him perform better. But it's not just for athletes. You can leverage this yourself by creating a pregame ritual that will help you focus better when it's game time or work time for you. It's totally up to you what you do as part of your pregame ritual, but I'll just share mine as an example. So earlier this week when I was outlining this video, I made some coffee, put in my AirPods, started the Interstellar soundtrack, set my timer, and then closed all tabs and programs I didn't need on my laptop. I also got distracted by my cat who picked that exact moment to want treats. And even though that's not part of my pregame ritual, it's something that seems to always happen when I try to get into deep work. I still love her though. Putting on a specific soundtrack or playlist of instrumental music is a quick and easy way to boost your focus immediately. I say instrumental music specifically because since we humans are biologically wired to notice speech, vocals can be distracting to us. And as far as why I specified the Interstellar soundtrack, that's because it's my favorite movie of all time, and it's also my go-to music when I need to really lock into some deep focus. But if listening to the soundtrack of the greatest movie of all time isn't for you, you can find other options by going onto YouTube and searching for focus music, where you'll find tons of great options like the classic Lo-Fi Girl live stream that we all know and love, synthwave mixtapes, which are one of my favorites, and 1 hour of silence broken up by gnome noises, reverb edition.
What?
Tip 2 is to know what to focus on. A common reason why we can't focus is because we don't really know what to focus on in the moment. We have so many to-dos on our mind that it's kind of hard to pick just one. And when we finally do pick something to work on, by that time we're already a little stressed and annoyed and fatigued, and so it's just hard to focus anyway. So then what we do is probably sit on the couch, pull out our phone, and doom scroll on Instagram for 30 minutes, which I'm not judging because I kind of sort of did that this morning. Here's a super simple system that will help you figure out what to focus on first. First, just write down all the to-dos on your mind, then organize them into categories like work, personal, and other. Pick a few tasks that are the highest priority, write those priorities on a separate piece of paper, and then put time blocks on your calendar throughout the week to work on those priorities. Now you may be thinking, what if I don't know what priorities to pick from my list? Well, typically you can use the framework of picking the most urgent and most important things, but if you can't do that, then just flip a coin, roll a die, or close your eyes and put your finger down on the piece of paper. I'm not actually being sarcastic here. Working on something is better than not working on anything at all, so just pick something by whatever means necessary. This system has a few immediate benefits. Your mind feels clearer because you've written things down, you can quickly move from one task to the next because your to-dos are organized, and you're able to focus easier because you know what you should be focused on. I suggest doing this at least once a week so you can keep your to-do list and your priority list up to date, and the weekend is probably the best time to do it because then you can go into Monday morning with a clear idea of what you need to work on. 15 minutes spent planning during the weekend will save you 15 hours of wasted time during the week. It'll honestly save you a lot more than that, but saying the word 15 twice is catchy, so yeah. Anyway, speaking of writing things down, I wrote the outline to this video in Cortex, the second brain app that I've been building. Cortex is not publicly available yet, and the only way to access it right now is through joining the Writers Bootcamp that we have coming up. The next Writers Bootcamp is coming up on July 8th, so if you'd like to learn more about Cortex and or the Writers Bootcamp, check out the links in the description. Tip number 3 is to train and rest your focus muscle. If you've ever lifted weights, think back to what it was like when you first started out. Your muscles were weak, you couldn't lift very much.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
As you consistently trained, you got stronger and you were able to do harder work. And your focus works in a similar way. The best way to start training your focus is similar to the best way to train your muscles, which is to start off small, be consistent, and then build up over time. And the simplest framework you can start doing this with is by using what's called the Pomodoro method. This is just a fancy name for setting a timer for 25 minutes, focusing on something till the timer goes off, then taking a 5-minute break, and repeating as many times as you want to. You may not be able to focus on one thing for 25 minutes yet, so what you can do is just start smaller, like 10 minutes on and then 5 minutes off. But no matter where you start, try your best to increase your time on for each block each week. So for example, if you do 25 on and 5 off this week, try going up to 30 on and 5 off next week, and if that goes well, go up to 35 on and 5 off the following week. This incremental approach may seem slow, but if you actually try it, stick with it, and do it consistently, then soon you'll be able to focus far longer than you ever imagined you could. You can also increase the break time if you want to. So me personally, I do my deep work blocks with 75 minutes of focus and then a 15-minute break. And despite what the hustle culture productivity guru whatever bullshit wants to tell you, you do actually need to take breaks. You cannot perform at your best if you're not getting enough rest. Every top performer in every area will tell you the exact same thing. Don't get discouraged if you struggle with this at first. If you haven't really been trying to do much deep focused work for long periods of time recently, then you probably won't be able to do it very well right now. But again, it's just like going to the gym. If you start, keep going, keep pushing yourself harder, and do all that consistently, then you will see results and you will get better at focusing. Now, on a relevant note, just like your muscles, your focus will get weaker over time if you don't use it. If you find yourself going through a particularly chaotic period, like I have several times over the past few years, so I can relate, then you may find that you don't have the time, energy, or even the mood to do deep focused work sessions. And so, as a side effect of that, your focus may get weaker during that time. But you can rebuild it by using the same method as much as you're able to. Just start off with shorter focus periods and give yourself longer break periods. It is always better to go backwards a bit than to fall off entirely. A sneaky thing that hurts your productivity is multitasking. And be honest, you've probably been multitasking while you've been listening to this video. It's alright, I get it, I'm not hurt. Well, I'm a little hurt. Because I love you, I'm still going to finish this video and also make a full video diving deep into the science of multitasking and why it's a problem in the near future. For now, the reason why it's a problem is your brain actually can't focus on more than one thing at one time. Instead, what it does is quickly switches back and forth from thing A to thing B to thing A to thing B, and so on. Each of these switches, which are called context switches, have a time and energy cost. So that's why after a long busy day where you were multitasking a lot, you feel completely exhausted, but as you look back, you don't really feel like you got a whole lot done. So do your best to focus on one thing at a time as much as you're able to, and while it may seem counterintuitive, that actually will help you get more done. Another thing that hurts our ability to focus is having too much cheap dopamine. In this video right here, I tell you what cheap dopamine is, explain why it can be a problem, and give you science-based ways to deal with it so you can focus even better.